All right, welcome back. So we covered our easy string methods, and what I've done right here is I've just block commented them out so that I have a clean console. All right, so moving on. So one of the things that we have to start working with are indices. Now, you have to look at this string. Now, a string is basically uh, a bunch of boxes. You have to look at them that way. And each letter or space or grammatical thing is occupying a box. Now, when we use length, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We would say this has 5 characters in it. But with an indice or an index, every index starts at 0. So in this case, the element is what we call it, that is in the 0 index is a lowercase h. Now, all indexes, the lowest one is 0. The highest one is length minus 1. So in this case, this is a length of 5. The O is in 4. Okay, so if I were to ask you what's in the second index, 0, 1, 2, it would be the first L. So that being said, let's move on right now. Okay, so there are some simple ones that we're going to use. So I'm going to use a print statement. Now, one thing I want you to notice is you're going to see that I'm using these methods in print statements. Some return things like true or false, which are Boolean in nature, and we'll cover that later. Some return strings. You can store those in string variables. So just remember that, keep that in mind, okay? So system.out.println, we're going to say x.index of, and what I'm going to do in this case, I'm going to say x, or, oops, sorry about that. I'm going to say O, okay? What this does is this prints out the index at which O appears. Now take a look. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right? Beautiful. Let's say I did H. Now it would print 0. Let's say I wanted it to print out HE. It prints out 0 again. Now this is important. Notice that I could do letters or I can do full-on phrases. Okay? HE. Does it exist in X? Yes, it does. All it's worried about is where does it begin? So it begins, the HE starts at the 0 index. Let me go into that a little bit more. Let's say I change this to EL. The EL starts at the first index, so it's going to give me a 1. All right? So you have to keep that in mind. A couple questions you're probably thinking, what if I have repeat letters? For like example, L. It gives me the first index only, which is 2. So it gives me the location of the first one. We can use loops later on down the line where we'll find more and more and more, and we can append those to variables and all that kind of stuff. But for right now, the index of just gives us the first. And let's say I wanted to look for P. P is not in there. If I do this, it yields a -1. The way that you have to think of this is like this. It's a -1 because you can have, if it's not in there, it will result an index below 0. So they try to keep it that because it's a way that we can use that in conditional statements later on down the line. So index of P, -1. All right, remember, if it's not in there, it's -1. Okay, so system.println there. So we also have x dot last index of. And in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the L. So we know that the first index was at 2. The last index was at 3. So this finds the last one. Now, obviously, if I change this to LO, it's only going to give me this one right here, that 11th one. So this just returns the last index. Those middle ones, sorry, nothing we can do for you. All right, another one is this one. This one's pretty easy. It says out x dot starts with. Let's say, does it start with H? This is Boolean in nature, and what that means, it's going to be true or false. Yes, it does start with an H. This one can also just be letters or words. HEL. True. What if I do a capital H? False. There we go. And hopefully what you can see is the method names, they basically tell you exactly what these methods do. All right? And now the last one that I'm going to use for, or that I'm going to show you for this video, x dot contains. Okay, and I want to see if this contains a double L. This one is also Boolean nature. True, true. I have a double L right there. All I'm looking for is the first or any occurrence of it whatsoever. So we covered index of, we covered last index of, we covered starts with, and we've covered contains. In total, we have covered nearly 10 methods. So, and as you can see, these are easier ones. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to move on to the more difficult ones, substrings.